My name is Lin Wantong, the most invisible child in the military compound. From childhood to adulthood, whenever people mentioned the Lin family, the first person they thought of was always my sister, Lin Wanjing, academically excellent, beautiful, charming, and a sweet talker, the apple of our parents' eyes. And me? I was a quiet girl, not very good at socializing. This was my mother's comment about me while chatting with the neighbors. When I was 13, my father was reported by someone and received an overnight notice to be sent down for re-education in the saline alkali lands of Qinghai. My mother cried all night, and just before dawn, she made a decision, cutting ties with my sister in the newspaper announcement, letting her stay in the city to continue her studies with our second aunt. Wanjing's future must not be ruined, she's our family's only hope. Then she took my hand. Come on, you'll come with Mum and Dad, our family of 3 won't be separated. Her tone was very gentle, but I could tell this wasn't a discussion, it was a notice. Because in her eyes, my sister's future was what mattered. I had no future, I only had a pair of hands that could work. In Qinghai, the salty alkaline land was so windy that it could blow a person into a piece of paper. In winter, when temperatures dropped to -35 degrees, the water in the water jar froze into solid blocks, and you had to break it open with a hammer. The summer sun blazed down, the sulfuric soil glaring white and blinding, while skin peeled off layer after layer from the scorching heat. Father fell ill the following year. His lungs, already damaged, were aggravated by the sulfuric land, causing him to cough up blood. The farm had no proper doctor, and even fever-reducing medicine was a rare commodity. Mum panicked and could only cry, unable to help at all. At 14, I alone shouldered the labor quotas of 2 adults. By day I dug canals, tilled the land, and dried salt. By night, I had to brew medicine for my father, wash him, and change his dressings. That medicine was only obtained after I knelt 3 times before the farm administrator and begged until my forehead bled. The first thing Dad did after waking up was slap me. Did I tell you to beg anyone? You, the daughter of a soldier, kneeling before others, are you shaming yourself for my face? His hands were strong. The person who had just woken up from a coma hadn't lost any strength in hitting me. My face was swollen for 3 days. Mum stood by watching, not saying a word in my defense. Only after Dad fell back asleep did she come over and stuff half a cornbread into my hand. Eat, don't go hungry. Your father didn't mean it. That's just how he is. I took the cornbread but didn't eat it. I tucked it into my pocket, saving it to fill my stomach during night work. I wrote letters to my sister, one after another. Sis, Dad is sick. Very seriously. Can you ask someone to bring some medicine? Any medicine will do. Sis, Mum's hands are chapped from the cold, can you send a pair of cotton gloves? Even old ones will do. Sis, I miss you so much. A total of 15 letters were sent, not a single one received a reply. Only later did I find out that my sister had received every single letter. She neatly pressed them all beneath a box, telling our second aunt, don't mention anything about that place to me, it'll distract me from studying. 13 years later, Father was rehabilitated, and we returned to the city. Father put on a clean military uniform again and stood straight, back at the entrance of the organization department to receive his welcome. The first thing we did upon returning to the city was buy my sister a Dacron shirt at the department store, sky blue, the fabric very nice, with a circle of white lace sewn around the neckline. He said, Wanjing has been living under someone else's roof all these years, it hasn't been easy. A father should make up for her. Mum chimed in, yes, Wanjing has suffered. No one mentioned me. I stood behind them, looking down at my own hands, knuckles thick and deformed, the webbing between thumb and forefinger covered in old calluses, the index finger of my right hand forever bent from soaking in alkaline water. 13 years of saline alkali land, 13 years of digging ditches, 13 years of tilling the soil, 13 years of carrying the workload of 2 grown men. When I returned, I was not yet 27 years old, but the photographer at the studio took one look at me and said, "Miss, how old are you?" "In your 40s. Then came Bo Changming, my childhood betrothal, the son of my father's old comrade in arms. Before he left, he said, "Wantong, wait for me, I will definitely come back for you." 13 years later, he came. The moment he saw me, his smile froze on his face. 3 days later, he sat in my living room and talked with my parents for half an hour. When he came out, he had an apologetic expression on his face. "The gap between us is too vast. I graduated from university and work at a design institute. You didn't even finish high school. We have no common ground, let's call off the engagement." His gaze shifted from me to the end of the corridor. My sister stood there, backlit by the light coming through the window, slender in form, wearing that sky-blue cotton shirt, holding a copy of Jane Eyre in her hand. 2 weeks later, Bo Changming formally came to propose marriage, not for me, but for my sister. Wanjing is also a university graduate, we share common topics and values. Uncle Lin, I believe I can bring happiness to Wanjing. Father remained silent for a long time before sighing deeply. Don't resent your sister, matters of the heart can't be forced. Your sister has had a hard time these years. As the younger sister, you should be more generous. Mother held my hand. Your sister and Changming truly love each other. Mom will definitely find you someone better in the future. All right, be good. On the day of the wedding banquet, I sat in the farthest corner at the table. Not a single person spoke to me. Only passing guests occasionally glanced my way. Is that the one who came back from the saline alkali land? Why does she look older than her mother? Poor thing, it was originally her partner, but her own sister snatched him away. Can't really say it was snatched, just look at her, and then look at her sister. Who wouldn't choose the sister? I drank glass after glass of wine late into the night. Most of the guests had already left when my sister approached with a wine glass in hand and sat opposite me. She had put on makeup today, her eyebrows and eyes as delicate as a painting, her smile gentle and graceful. "Sister, let me tell you something." She leaned close to my ear, her voice soft, like she was telling a bedtime story. "Back then, when Dad was injured in the saline alkali land, I received all your letters asking for help, 15 letters, not a single one was missed." My fingers tightened. "Later, the letters Changming wrote to you were also intercepted by me first. I was the one who approached him, making him slowly fall in love with me." She took a half step back, tilting her head to look at me. "Do you hate me?" Then she smiled, held her wine glass, and swayed unsteadily back to the groom's side. I overturned the table, dishes and plates shattered noisily across the floor, wine splashing all over the tablecloth. "Dad! Mum!" She intercepted my plea for help. When Dad was dying in the saline alkali land, she stood by and did nothing. She deliberately intercepted Changming's letters to me. The entire room fell silent, everyone was looking at me. Their gazes held no shock, no anger, only one unified, condescending disdain, like at an unreasonable madman. Father stood up from the main table. His voice was not loud, but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Take her away." 2 people grabbed me by the arms and dragged me out of the banquet hall. Mother followed behind, shouting through the door, "You're utterly disgraceful. How could you make a scene on your sister's big day? A girl should have dignity. If Changming doesn't like you, you should step aside. Your sister and he are in love, you should be happy for them. Don't you understand anything?" I was locked in the backyard storage room. The iron lock was fastened from the outside. Days passed, a bowl of cold porridge every day. No one even glanced at me. The afternoon of the 6th day, the person who opened the door saw me huddled in the corner, lips blue, body cold to the touch. My body, broken from enduring the salt flats, could no longer endure. Arthritis, stomach issues, and chronic lung problems all flared up at once, as if they had conspired together. I died in the winter of 1981. My eyes were still open when I passed, because until the very last moment, I was still waiting for someone to open the door, waiting for someone to say, "Come back for dinner." Didn't wait. The smell of cold briquettes and cabbage with tofu fills my nostrils. In my ears, the radio from old Wang's house next door is playing the news. The sound of water dripping from the faucet. Mom had said 100 times to fix it, and Dad always replied, "Tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. I lay on the narrow wooden bed, staring at the ceiling. There was a water stain on the ceiling shaped like a withered leaf. I stared at that stain for a long time. I remember this water stain. I was here in my previous life too. Later, we left, and after 13 years when we came back, the house had been given to someone else, and the ceiling had been repainted. That water stain, shaped like a withered leaf, is just like the traces of my existence in this home. It was gently erased, clean and clear, as if it had never existed. I slowly sit up, looking down at my hands, white, delicate, with neatly trimmed round nails. Palms clean and smooth, no calluses, no cracks, no index finger forever stiffened from soaking in saline alkali water. I clenched my fist, then released it, repeated it 3 times. Then I rolled out of bed, bare feet landing on the concrete floor, cold, but not the kind of cold from saline alkali land that can freeze and crack the skin on your feet. Just an autumn night, a southern city, normally cool. I walked to the desk and turned on the lamp, a table lamp with a green lampshade. When the switch was turned, it made a click sound. The bulb was 15 watts, casting a dim yellow light. I flipped open the desk calendar, August 21, 1968. There are pencil-drawn crosses on it, marking off each passing day, a habit I've had since childhood. I quickly calculated in my mind. Father received the notice of being sent down in early September. There are still about 10 days left until now. Enough. The next morning early, Wantong, wake up, time to eat. Mum's voice came from the main room, strong and slightly impatient. I had already dressed, a white shirt, blue trousers, black cloth shoes. My hair was tied into a ponytail. The moment I pushed open the door, sunlight streamed in from the end of the corridor, bright enough to make me squint. In the main hall, Father sat in the center, wearing a green military-style uniform with the top button fastened, his back straight as a flagpole. In front of him was a bowl of coarse-grain porridge, a small dish of pickled vegetables, and half a coarse flour steamed bun. Sister sat to his right, 15-year-old Lin Wanjing, with 2 glossy black braids and neatly combed bangs pressed flat against her forehead, was reading a copy of How the Steel Was Tempered. She was even reading a book while eating. Mum came out of the kitchen carrying a bowl of hot porridge and smiled as she placed it in front of my sister. "Wanjing, put the book down first, eat before you read. Cold porridge is bad for your stomach." "Got it, Mum." My sister obediently closed the book and picked up her chopsticks. Mother went back to the kitchen and brought out another bowl, placing it in front of Father. "Old Lin, today's steamed buns have a bit of wheat flour mixed in, have an extra half." She saw me standing at the door. "What are you staring at?" "Serve yourself, there are still some in the pot." I muttered a "no" and walked into the kitchen. There was indeed still porridge in the pot, but the kind at the bottom of the pot, thin, with countable grains of rice, mostly chunks of sweet potato and broken bits. The thick portions were all scooped for father and my elder sister. I never used to notice these things, or rather, even if I noticed, I wouldn't take them to heart. But now it's different. Someone who's lived an extra lifetime sees every detail with crystal clarity. I scraped the last of the porridge from the pot into a bowl, carried it out, and sat down. Not a word was spoken. Why is it so quiet today? Mum sat down and glanced at me. You're chattering away. Nothing much, I didn't sleep well last night. What's there to sleep badly about for a child? Father didn't even look up, tapping the edge of the bowl with his chopsticks. Sit properly, eat properly, don't slump over the table. Okay. I picked up the bowl and sipped the porridge spoonful by spoonful. The sweet potato porridge was sweet, but my mouth was full of the taste of saline alkali land. The bitterness of the cooked saltwort seeped into the root of my tongue, into the deepest part of my memory, and had never faded in 13 years. Wantong, pass the pickles to your dad. Okay. Wanjing, when you go to the library today, could you pick up a bar of soap for me? The kind from the Supply and Marketing Cooperative, the old brand. Sure, Mum. Old Lin, aren't you going to Old Lou's place this afternoon to discuss matters? Wear that gray military uniform, it looks respectable. Mum spoke 5 or 6 sentences to my sister and 3 or 4 to Dad. To me, she said 2 sentences. One was, serve yourself, the other was, pass the pickles to your dad. I put down the bowl, finished eating, going back to my room to read. Before my father could say anything, I took the bowl into the kitchen, washed it, and placed it upside down on the rack. Back in my room, I closed the door, leaning against the door panel, and slowly slid down to the ground. I didn't cry. The tears I should have shed in my previous life had already dried up. The wind over the saline alkali land would turn tears into salt particles, sticking to my face, stinging like a knife cut. Later, I stopped crying. Crying won't help. No one sees, no one cares. I sat on the ground, closed my eyes, and slowly calmed my breathing. Then I stood up and picked up my backpack. I stuffed 2 changes of clothes inside, not to go out, but to keep the bag from looking too empty. Mum, I'm going out for a while, to hang out with Xiao Yao. Go ahead, but come back before lunch. Xiao Yao lived in a government family housing compound, 3 streets away from the courtyard. Her father worked at the street office, and her mother was in charge of mobilizing educated youth for the rural relocation program at the residence committee. At this moment, neighborhood committees across the city were all worrying about the rural assignment quotas. The higher-ups were pressing hard, with one document after another, yet every household kept their children tightly shielded, as if eager to wrap them in quilts and hide them under the bed. No one wanted their children to suffer in poor and harsh environments. Zhao Yao's mother was so worried that blisters had formed around the corners of her mouth. That's exactly the loophole I wanted to exploit. The gate of the government compound was open, and the old security guard was dozing off. I walked past him, went up to the 3rd floor, and knocked on the Zhao family's door. The one who opened the door was Zhao Yao, round-faced, with short hair cut to her ears. She wore a faded floral blouse and still clutched the end of a pencil, apparently in the middle of doing homework. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you about something. She opened the door and let me in. The house was small, 1 room and 1 hall, with the main room serving as living room and dining room. In the corner, there were half a bag of sweet potatoes and a few bundles of green onions. I looked around. Your mum isn't here. Out for a meeting, said she'd be back around 10. You should probably just wait. I sat down on the chair and took out a palm-sized paper package from my school bag. Opening it, Inside were 4 big white rabbit candies. Zhao Yao's eyes immediately fixed in place. White rabbit creamy candy. In this era, such things were almost as precious as gold. Ordinary families would only splurge on half a pound during the new year, and even then, the whole family would share it, just 2 or 3 pieces per person, and it would be gone. These 4 pieces were bought by my mother from the department store last month, bought half a kilogram. My sister divided 6 pieces, placed them neatly in a box, and arranged them orderly in her desk drawer. I took 4 pieces. Mom said, "Your sister is tired from studying and needs sugar for her brain. Eating less sugar is good for your teeth." 4 ounces of white rabbit creamy candy, and I couldn't bear to eat a single piece. Now it's all here. Here for you. Zhao Yao swallowed hard and instinctively shook her head. "No, it's too expensive, I can't take it." "Take it, I need your help with something important." I shoved the paper into her hand and held it there, preventing her from pulling back. "Zhao Yao, I want to sign up to go to the countryside as an educated youth. Help me talk to your mum." Zhao Yao's hand froze. "What did you say?" "I need to go to the countryside, the sooner the better. Ideally, all the paperwork should be completed within 5 days. Are you out of your mind?" "No problem, listen to me first." I lowered my voice, speaking calmly. "Right now, the whole country is calling on educated youth to go to the countryside. Your mom is worried about meeting the quota. I meet all the requirements, currently in junior high, old enough. If I volunteer, your mom saves a spot. Why wouldn't she be happy about that?" Zhao Yao's mouth opened and closed. "But do your parents know?" "Not yet, I want to tell them after everything's settled. Give them a nice surprise. My dad's temper, he's all about awareness and dedication. If I volunteer to go to the countryside, he'll be absolutely thrilled." Zhao Yao was skeptical. "The way your dad is, I think he'd be furious if he found out." "No, you'll only feel proud." I looked into Zhao Yao's eyes, my voice steady. "Zhao Yao, do me this favor." She hesitated for a moment, squeezing the candy in her hand. "All right, but think carefully. Once this is done, there will be no turning back. I understand it better than anyone else." Zhao Yao opened the paper package, took a look, picked out 1, and pushed the remaining 3 back. "1 is enough, keep the rest for yourself." I held her hand. "If you still consider me a friend, take them all. I'm the only child left at home now. My sister is staying with our second aunt. We can't possibly finish all these sweets." The words were half truth, half lie. My sister was indeed at my second aunt's place, but even if my sister were here, I wouldn't get more of this candy. Zhao Yao stared at me for a few seconds before finally giving in. She clenched the milk candy tightly and tucked it into her pocket. "Then I'll keep it for now, you can come and take it whenever you want to eat." "Fine." I got up, ready to leave. I reached the door, then turned back. "Zhao Yao." I hesitated for a moment. "Have you been beaten up recently?" Her shoulders visibly stiffened for an instant. "No, who said that?" "Roll up your sleeves." She didn't move. I reached out and pushed up her left sleeve for her. On the inner side of her forearm were 2 purplish-green fingerprints, clearly left by someone gripping her tightly. Not a hit, a twist. "Did your mum do this?" Zhao Yao didn't speak, pulling her sleeve down to cover it. "It's nothing, just that my younger brother got into a fight with the kid next door. I didn't keep an eye on him, and my mum got upset. It doesn't hurt." Exactly the same as what she said before. Zhao Yao always said the same thing. It doesn't hurt. She would say nothing hurt. As a child, when she injured her hand chopping firewood for the family, it didn't hurt. When her fingers cracked from washing clothes in the cold, it didn't hurt. When her mother scolded her for being slow and whipped her back with a broom, it didn't hurt. It never hurt. Until she was married off to Wang the Fatso from the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. Wang the Fatso was 14 years older than her, a widower with 2 burdensome children, and had a violent temper. He would hit her when drunk. That year, Zhao Yao was 23 years old. Within a year of marriage, she became pregnant. At 7 months pregnant, she was kicked to the ground by big fatty Wang, losing the baby. She hemorrhaged severely, and by the time she reached the hospital, her blood pressure was unmeasurable, she couldn't be saved. And her younger brother, the one she had raised since childhood, washing his clothes, cooking his meals, feeding him, and changing his diapers, used the bride price earned from her to marry a wife in grand style. On the wedding day, he said, "If only my sister were still here, she was the best at tidying up the house." Zhao Yao. I took her hand, "Come with me to the countryside." She froze. "Have your mum register us in the same place, so we can look out for each other in the future." Her eyes lit up, like a nearly extinguished coal suddenly fanned by a breath of air, but it quickly darkened again. "No, my brother is still young. If I leave, there will be no one to take care of him, my mum can't handle it alone." "How old is your brother this year?" 9 years old. "What were you doing when you were 9 years old?" She opened her mouth but said nothing. "When you were 9, you already knew how to cook and do laundry, right? Why can't your brother?" "Because you're there, as long as you're around, he'll never have to grow up." "But Mum said it's only natural for an older sister to take care of her younger brother." "Then who will take care of you?" Zhao Yao's lips trembled slightly. "Zhao Yao, I won't force you, think it through yourself. But there's one thing I need to tell you." I took out a piece of paper from my pocket, on which an address was written. "I've been here since I went down to the countryside. No matter when, if you want to leave, write to me. If you can't leave, write to me, just one word from you, and I'll find a way." She took the note and clenched it in her hand, her knuckles turning white. "I'll think about it." "Okay, no rush." I let go and patted her shoulder. "I'll head off first, don't let your brother find those milk candies of yours." She gave a bitter smile. "I know." 5 days later, I timed it perfectly. Father had been going out frequently these past 2 days, visiting 3 old comrades in arms and making 4 phone calls. His expression grew heavier day by day. I knew what he was doing. He'd heard the rumors. The descending command was about to arrive, and he was making one last struggle, just like in his previous life. Useless, what's coming cannot be avoided. But he still wasn't giving up, so all his attention was focused on pulling strings, and he temporarily had no time for me. This was my window of opportunity. Morning of September 23rd, Zhao Yao's mother appeared at my doorstep right on time. Knock, knock. Mum went to open the door. "Why isn't this Auntie Chen from the neighborhood here? What brings you here? Come in." Auntie Chen beamed with joy. "Sister-in-law, good day, I'm here to share wonderful news. Your daughter, Comrade Lin Wantong, has voluntarily answered the nation's call to join the educated youth going to the countryside, and her application has been approved. She'll depart in 4 days, congratulations." The main room fell silent for about 3 seconds, then plop, the enamel teacup in Mum's hand fell to the ground, spilling all over the floor. Father came out from the inner room. He had just been on the phone, the receiver still clutched in his hand, the cord stretched taut, pulled into a straight line. "What did you just say?" His voice was quiet, like the stillness before a storm, oppressive. Auntie Chen took half a step back, intimidated by his imposing manner, but her professionalism kept her smile from completely collapsing. Director Lin, it's good news, your daughter has high ideological awareness and volunteered to sign up. Who approved this? The documents and procedures above are all compliant, our office is only responsible for. I'm asking you, who approved it? Father slowly placed the receiver back on the telephone. Click, the sound echoed in the quiet house like a gun being cocked. I walked out of my room and stood beside Auntie Chen. I signed up myself. Father turned his head to look at me, those eyes were too familiar to me. The eyes of a soldier, the gaze used when scrutinizing subordinates, the cold, precise look, carrying an aura of authority without needing to show anger. In my past life, when these eyes looked at me, I would instinctively shrink my neck, lower my head, and avoid meeting their gaze. Not in this lifetime. I look at him, word by word, Dad, I've made up my mind. The country is calling for educated youth to go to the countryside, to the places where the motherland needs us most. As the child of a military family, I should take the lead in responding. His brows furrowed into a tight knot. You're just a girl who hasn't even finished junior high. Who gave you the right to make decisions for yourself? The country did. It's clearly written in the document. Any urban youth who meets the age requirement can volunteer to participate. Voluntary? Yes, voluntary. I pulled a piece of paper from my pocket. It was a handwritten copy I'd made 2 days earlier of the original text from the rural mobilization document, not a single word changed. I handed it to my father. Look, every word on this is what the country says. I want to respond to the country's call. Do you think there's a problem with that? Father didn't take it, but he didn't refute either, because he couldn't refute. He was a soldier. He knew better than anyone that opposing state policy at such a critical moment was tantamount to putting his head directly in front of a gun. Especially since he was still pulling strings, especially since his situation was already precarious. If word got out at this time that Lin Zhaohui was preventing his daughter from responding to the national call, he would lose his last chance to turn things around. Auntie Chen spoke up at just the right moment. Director Lin, we need your signature on this form. You've raised a wonderful daughter, not many young people volunteer these days, and your daughter is the first in our neighborhood. She pulled out the form from her bag, even had a pen ready, and handed it over with a cheerful smile. Father glanced at me, then looked at the form again, then glanced at me again. At the kitchen door, Mum was leaning against the door frame with one hand covering her mouth, tears already streaming down her face, but she didn't dare to make a sound because there were guests, for the sake of face, because in this family everything ultimately comes down to the father's decision. Father picked up the pen and signed. His hand was steady, his handwriting strong and firm, exactly the same force as when she signed the declaration of severing family ties in her previous life. Auntie Chen happily accepted the form with a smile. Great. We'll gather at Liberation Road intersection at 6 in the morning, 4 days from now. There will be vehicles arranged to transport everyone together. Director Lin, sister-in-law, don't worry, the organization will definitely make proper arrangements for the children. She left. The moment the door closed, Mum's crying exploded forth. Wantong, are you crazy? Have you gone mad? How could you do this behind our backs? Mum rushed over and grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my flesh, her strength so great that there would surely be marks on my arm. I didn't flinch. Mum, you're hurting me. She didn't let go. Did you hear something about your dad? Did you find out? That's why you're... I don't know what you mean. Then why are you suddenly going to the countryside? I looked up at her. Because Dad taught us from a young age to go where the motherland needs us most. I think the countryside is where I'm needed the most. Mother was stunned. These were words Father had been saying for over a decade. He said them at home, at work, and when chatting with other military families in the compound. Now his daughter was repeating these exact same words. What else could he say in rebuttal? Saying those words were meant for others to hear, saying, "That's not what I meant when I taught you," he couldn't. He couldn't utter a single word, because speaking would mean admitting that all his awareness, dedication, and military spirit were just empty talk. Father stood in the middle of the living room, silent. The muscles on his face were tightly tensed, and the veins on his temples throbbed visibly. "Go back to your room." "Okay." I turned and took a couple of steps, then stopped. "Dad, I've already signed up and completed all the procedures. I'm leaving in 4 days." "I told you to go back to your room." "By the way," I turned my head slightly, my voice calm, "I hope you treat my sister and me equally. I volunteered to go to the countryside. It was in response to the nation's call, not because I was abandoned. If anyone asks, please tell them that." Father's fist clenched tightly. "Otherwise," I looked into his eyes, "if someone thinks you're preventing your daughter from going to the countryside, and word gets to your superiors, it won't be good for you." The air froze. Father's expression was hard to describe, like being slapped in the face yet unable to fight back, because it wasn't me who slapped him. It was the great truths he had said himself. I didn't wait for him to explode and quickly walked back to my room, closed the door, leaned against the door panel, my heart pounding rapidly, but my lips curved in a smile. In my previous life, I lived in this house for 13 years plus 13 years, a total of 26 years. I never won once. This is the first time. That afternoon, while my father was out, I went to the newspaper office. The editorial department of the Workers' and Peasants' Daily in the east of the city was located in a small 3-story gray building. My father had a friendship with Uncle's son, an old editor here. In my previous life, it was Uncle's son who helped him publish the statement severing ties. The statement bore only my sister's name. "Be it hereby declared that I, Lin Jiaohui, and my eldest daughter, Lin Wanjing, sever our father-daughter relationship as of this date, with no further obligations to each other." She protected my sister but abandoned me. I walked through the entrance of the editorial department and headed to the office at the end of the second-floor hallway. Uncle's son wasn't there. Instead, it was his apprentice, Xiao Fang. "Hello, I'm Lin Jiaohui's daughter, Lin Wantong." "You're Chief Lin's daughter, your dad isn't here." "I know, I'm here for you." I sat across from him with a serious expression. "My dad is going to ask Uncle's son for help with a statement recently. He asked me to come and say hello first." "What statement?" "Statement of disownment, to protect the two of us sisters. He said both daughters' names must be written down. Not a single one can be left out." "Write both." "Yes, my sister Lin Wanjing, and me, Lin Wantong." He said it had to be fair, since it's to protect the children, we can't favor one over the other. Both have to be completely cut off. I emphasized my tone. He said what he fears most is people saying he's biased in the future, so he treats both daughters equally. He asked me to confirm with you first, and when the statement is published, Uncle Xiao, please help review it to ensure no one's name is left out. Xiao Fang scratched his head, still wanting to say something. I took 2 fruit candies from my pocket and placed them on the table. "My dad's been busy lately and might not have time to come explain in person. Uncle Xiao, I'll leave this matter to you." "All right, I'll confirm with your dad when he comes." "No need to confirm," he said, to handle it this way. I stood up, smiling innocently. "Uncle Xiao, I'm heading off first. My dad wants me to hurry back and pack my luggage. I am about to go to the countryside." Stepping out of the newspaper office's main entrance, I let out a long sigh. The autumn wind blew over, cool and crisp, carrying the scent of osmanthus flowers. In my past life, Father only severed ties with my sister. Because of this, she preserved her student status, maintained her innocence, and kept the stable life she had at Auntie's house. But me, he didn't even give me the right to be cut off, because he needed me, these hands, these shoulders, this young body capable of carrying the labor quota of 2 adults. Cutting off the relationship, how can you properly take me to the saline alkali land to do hard labor? This lifetime, break it all together, or not at all. Why should only she be protected? Why should I be the one sacrificed? Aren't you the ones who always talk about fairness? Then let's be fair to the end. The last 2 days before departure, the atmosphere at home was like a pot of water about to boil but too afraid to lift the lid, bubbling silently. Mother's eyes had swollen from crying 3 times. Whenever she saw me, her eyes were red, yet she dared not cry in front of Father because guests, neighbors, and passers-by came and went, and Father had to maintain his dignity, wanting to be a good child. Wantong is thoughtful, just like me. He said this in front of others, a smile, serious yet tinged with a hint of pride. Turned away, the door shut, not a single word to me. Cold War, or rather, emotional abuse. He's waiting for me to back down, waiting for me to run over in tears and say, "Dad, I don't want to go anymore." The me from my past life would have definitely done this. Not in this lifetime. The night before departure, I was packing my luggage in the room. Actually, there wasn't much to pack: 2 sets of change of clothes, a towel, a pair of cloth shoes, a comb, a junior high school maths textbook used as scratch paper, and the barefoot doctor's manual borrowed from the library. I haven't had the chance to return it yet. It'll be more useful in the countryside than in the city. Wantong. A knock on the door. "Mum. Come in." She pushed the door open, carrying a bowl of brown sugar water. "Drink it, we'll be on the bus all day tomorrow, so have a little something first." I took the bowl and took a small sip. It was sweet. Mum sat on the edge of my bed, watching me pack my bags, her eyes turning red again. "Wantong, when you get there, write to your mother." "Okay. If you face any hardships, don't bear them alone, tell me." "Okay. If you really can't stay any longer." She didn't continue, because she knew it would be useless to say more. The list was already decided, the procedures completed. There's no turning back now. She fell silent for a moment. "Wantong, are you blaming me?" I didn't speak. "Mum knows I haven't paid enough attention to you these years. Your sister does well in school. She'll have a bright future, so I focused more on her. You're quiet, don't talk much, so I thought you didn't need anything." Her voice grew softer, almost whispering to herself, "But you're only 13, how could I not worry?" In my previous life, I was already holding my mother and crying at this time. I said, "I'm not leaving, I'll stay with you and Dad." Then she would pack my bag with relief and say, "Girl, Mum always knew you were the most obedient." In this lifetime, I hold the bowl, gazing at the brown sugar water inside. The brown sugar dissolves in the hot water, swirling in circles like a whirlpool. "Mum, don't worry, I'll take good care of myself." She waited for a while, but I never said, "I'm not leaving." "Go to sleep, we have to get up early tomorrow." She stood up, walked to the door, and glanced back at me. That glance held many emotions: reluctance, worry, grievance, and a faint trace of barely detectable anger. The anger stemmed from the fact that her tears had failed to work. September 27th, 5:30 a.m. It wasn't fully light yet. A faint streak of white glowed along the eastern horizon. I stood at my doorstep, carrying a canvas bag. The bag was military green, my father's old one. He had left it unused in the storage room, and I took it out, wiped it down, and put it on. Mother stood in the hallway, her lips trembling, unable to utter a word. she must not have slept much last night. Her eyes were swollen like walnuts. "Mum, I'm leaving." She finally couldn't hold back and took a step forward to embrace me, held me tightly. She carried the scent of soap and the lingering aroma of last night's stir-fry. "I've remembered this taste for 2 lifetimes. Over there, eat well. Don't go hungry. Okay. If anyone bullies you, no one will bully me." I gently pried her hand open, finger by finger, not rough, but not hesitant either. Looking back at the end of the corridor, Father was standing there, wearing that worn-out military uniform, hands clasped behind his back, standing straight. He didn't come over, no embrace, no farewell words, just standing there like a stone statue. In his previous life, he stood in the same posture. He was sending me to the saline alkali land. He walked ahead. I followed behind, while Mother wept at the doorstep. I followed him into the abyss. This time, I turned my back to him. "Dad, take care." I didn't wait for his reply. I turned around and walked out of the house. At the entrance of the compound, a Jifeng brand truck was starting up. The diesel engine roared, and the exhaust fumes dispersed into a gray-white cloud in the morning mist. There were already more than a dozen educated youths sitting in the truck bed. The youngest looked about my age, while the oldest was around 17 or 18. Some were excited, some remained silent, and others were wiping away tears. I was just about to climb onto the truck bed when someone called from behind. I turned around. It was Xiao Yao. She was carrying a canvas bag even bigger than mine, running breathlessly from the alley entrance, her face flushed red. "Wait for me, I'm signing up too." I froze for a second, then smiled. "How did you?" She ran up to me, bent over and gasped for breath for a long time, then lifted her head. "You're right, my brother is 9 years old now. He should grow up on his own." Her eyes were red, but bright. "I had a huge fight with my mum last night. She wouldn't let me go. So I said, either let me go, or I'll go tell the leader that you beat me at home." She smiled. There was bitterness in the smile, a sense of satisfaction, and a hint of guilt. "She cursed me all night, and at dawn, she packed my bag, not even a goodbye." I looked at her, said nothing, and just reached out my hand. She held on, her palm was sweaty. I pulled her up onto the truck with me. The truck bed jolted as we sat shoulder to shoulder in the corner. The truck started moving. The morning wind rushed in, my hair wildly. The city's outline gradually shrank in the line of sight: courtyard, corridor building, department store, post office, cinema, that plane tree, all retreated behind, getting farther and farther, getting smaller and smaller. I didn't look back. Beside me, Xiao Yao suddenly tightened her grip on my hand. "Thank you." I didn't speak. I thought to myself, "You're welcome. In your previous life, you died at the age of 23. In this lifetime, you will live to be very old." We went to a mountainous area in southern Anhua, to a village called Jinfeng Ridge. When I was filling out the form, in the preferred location section, I wrote this name. In the saline alkali land, there was an old educated youth from the south in the bunk next to mine, surnamed Tao, over 50 years old, with more ailments than I had. He went to the countryside in 1960, stayed in Jinfeng Ridge for 8 years, and was later transferred to the northwest. He told me about that place. "The scenery is beautiful, and whatever you plant grows well. There are bamboo and tea trees on the mountain. The stream water is sweet, and it's not too cold in winter. Staying there isn't suffering." When he said this, there was a light in his eyes, a light never seen on saline alkali land. I remembered that name. I remembered it for 13 years. Now I've finally come myself. The truck drove for a full day and night before reaching the county town. Then we switched to a tractor, jolting along for half a day. The last stretch of the journey had to be made on foot, the mountain path was too narrow for vehicles. Carrying our luggage, we walked for over 4 hours. When endless stretches of emerald bamboo and terraced fields layered up came into view, I stopped in my tracks. The ground beneath my feet was soft soil, not saline alkali. The air carried the moist scent of grass and earth, not the dryness of wind blown stinging my face. In the distance, the mountains were green, the sky blue, and a stream gurgled at the foot of the hills. I took a deep breath, my lungs filled with damp air carrying the scent of fresh grass. No bitterness of seaweed, no astringency of saline alkali soil, nothing at all. Only the scent of life remains. Zhao Yao behind me also came to a halt. Wow, this place is absolutely stunning, isn't it? The educated youth settlement was arranged in a row of old stone houses at the village entrance, with separate accommodations for men and women. The walls were whitewashed with lime, and 2 persimmon trees planted at the entrance were laden with heavy green fruit. The village chief, Zhang Dafa, was in his early 50s, with a dark complexion, a booming voice, and a smile that revealed a set of white teeth. Welcome, educated youth comrades. Once you're at Jinfeng Ridge, you're one of us. Ask whatever you don't understand, and speak up about any difficulties you have. As long as you're not lazy, I guarantee you won't go hungry under my watch. With just one sentence, he managed to ease half the tension among the group of city kids. The first night, the educated youth gathered around the courtyard to eat. The dishes were local stir-fried tofu with greens, pickled radish, and a large pot of mixed grain porridge. The rice was real rice, not water-boiled from alkali grass. There was oil in the dishes. The porridge was thick. I held the bowl and ate slowly, bite by bite. I ate very slowly, each bite lingering on my tongue for a long time. It's not being overly sentimental, it's 13 years of saline alkali land that taught me one thing: to be grateful for every bite of food. Zhao Yao was wolfing down her meal beside me, finishing one bowl and wanting more. This porridge is absolutely delicious. If it's good, have some more. Wantong, why are you eating so slowly? I'm savoring it. What flavor is this? The taste of being alive. What did you say? Nothing, another bowl, please. For the first 3 months, I worked in the fields like other educated youths, earning work points, transplanting rice seedlings, harvesting rice, weeding, plowing the land, carrying water to irrigate vegetables. Most of the educated youths from the city complained incessantly, with blisters on their hands and backs that couldn't straighten after a day of bending. I didn't utter a word, not trying to act tough. I genuinely didn't feel it was hard. Digging alkali channels in saline alkali land for 13 years at -30 degrees, a single pickaxe strike on the frozen soil would only leave a white mark. Compared to that, planting paddy fields was like child's play. After working for a month, Village Chief Zhang Dafa called me aside. Lin Wantong, you don't seem like you're from the city, your hands are quite nimble. You can endure hardship, that's good. What our village lacks most are people who can endure hardship. He patted me on the shoulder with such force that I nearly stumbled. Work hard. Half a year later, old Dr. Wu from the village clinic came to find me. Old Wu was over 60, with graying hair, a hunched back, and a slow gait, but his eyes were sharp and bright. He was the only doctor in the village for miles around. Whether someone was sick, injured, or giving birth, they all relied on him. Girl, I heard you're quite literate. Yes, I am. Can you read the prescription? Yes. He rummaged through his cloth bag and pulled out a tattered copy of the Barefoot Doctor's Manual, the same edition as the one I borrowed from the library. Read a passage for me to hear. I took it and turned to the chapter, Prevention and Treatment of Common Infectious Diseases, reading a section aloud in a clear, formal tone. After listening, old Wu slapped his thigh. Excellent, you come learn from me. I'm 63 now, my hands shake, my eyes are failing. I won't last many more years. Someone has to take over, right? I've taught a few before, but they were all the type to work by fits and starts, never amounted to anything. You're different. How am I different? Your hands are steady. Steady hands, right. Changing the dressing for my father, who was running a 40-degree fever, on saline alkali land, the earthen house's windows leaked wind, the kerosene lamp flickered in and out, and if my hands shook, the medicine would spill. And once spilled, there was no second bottle. With hands trained in such conditions, how could they not be steady? Skills honed in a past life serving ungrateful souls, now in this lifetime, I want to use it in the right place. Dr. Wu, I'll learn. From that day on, I would make house calls and dispense medicine during the day, learning herbal medicine and acupuncture from old Wu. At night, I would study medical texts by the light of a kerosene lamp. Old Wu brought out all the treasures he had kept hidden, Shan Han Luan, Jin Gui Yao Lu, Wen Bing Tiaobian, Tang Tu Guyao, and several hand-copied notes he had accumulated over years of medical practice. He had no children, these books were his lifeblood. Everything's yours, study hard and don't bring shame to me. I studied until midnight every day. When the kerosene lamp ran out, I read by moonlight. If the light wasn't bright enough, I memorized, committed the content to memory first, then found gaps during the day to review. Seeing my determination, old Wu suddenly said one day, "Girl, you're not just enduring hardship, you're fighting for your life. It's like you're venting anger at someone." I didn't respond, not out of spite, but racing against fate for time, the 13 years wasted in my past life, to reclaim them year by year in this one. In the winter of 1969, I officially became an apprentice doctor at the Jinfeng Ridge Clinic. In the spring of 1970, old Wu allowed me to independently treat my first patient, a 3-year-old child from the Xia family at the east end of the village, who had been suffering from diarrhea for 3 days and was dehydrated. Using the folk remedy old Wu taught me, ginger and brown sugar water with a dose of coptis, I stopped the diarrhea. After 2 days of administering salt and sugar water, the child was lively and energetic again. Auntie Xia brought a basket of eggs to thank me. I didn't take it, keep it, give it to the child, he's growing. Auntie Xia was so moved that her eyes turned red. "Dr. Lin, you're such a good person." Dr. Lin, the first time someone called me that, not Miss Lin, not Wantong, not Wanjing's younger sister, but Dr. Lin. I stood at the door of the clinic, listening to the fading footsteps of Auntie Xia, and suddenly felt that these 3 words sounded better than any other form of address. In the autumn of 1971, old Wu didn't make it through the first autumn rain of that year. His health had been failing for a long time, pulmonary disease, arthritis, stomach ulcer, old ailments contracted from his youth when he traveled from village to village. It was raining on the night he passed away, and I stayed by his bedside all night. Just before dawn, he suddenly opened his eyes. "Girl, I'm here, Jinfeng Ridge, it'll be up to you from now on. Don't cry." "I'm not crying." "Indeed, not crying. I cried all my tears in my past life, so now, no matter how hard I try, I can't shed a tear." I just held his hand tightly, his hand had gone cold. I carefully arranged his medical books one by one, wrapped them in oilcloth 3 layers thick, and locked them in the innermost cabinet of the infirmary. This was the first time in my life that I had received complete, unreserved trust, heavier than anything my parents had ever given me. In 1973, I received a letter. It was from Mum. Not sent from the city, it came from the northwest. It seemed father's banishment couldn't be avoided in the end. The handwriting on the envelope was shaky, with several spots blurred by water stains. I opened it. Your father is injured, his leg is broken. The conditions on the farm, there are no decent doctors. You're studying medicine, can you think of a way? Anyway, I'm begging you. Mum. I read the letter twice, then folded it neatly and put it back in the envelope. I went to the village committee and found village chief Zhang Dafa. This is a letter from the family member who has publicly severed ties in the newspaper. I don't know how this letter ended up in my hands. According to regulations, it should be handed over. Zhang Dafa took the letter, flipped through it, and remained silent for a long while. He is your father. We've publicly severed ties in the newspaper. It's over now. You really won't intervene? Village chief, I can't. I'm just a barefoot doctor at the village clinic. I can't handle matters thousands of miles away. The farm has its own medical system and higher authorities. He's injured. He should seek help from the organization. All right, I'll keep this letter for you. The letter was archived. The news spread. Some people said I was cold-blooded. Some said I was heartless. Sister Lu, the northeastern girl I was closest to at the educated youth settlement, brought me a bowl of noodles that evening. Have you eaten? I have. You're lying. I saw you barely ate anything at noon. She pushed the bowl toward me. I looked at the bowl of noodles. On top lay a fried egg, golden yellow with a crispy lace-like edge. In these times, an egg is a fortune. Sister Lu, you eat. Let's talk. I picked up the bowl and ate. The noodles were hand-rolled, with a chewy texture. The egg was fried just right, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. I remember the taste of this bowl of noodles for a lifetime. Another 3 years passed. In 1976, Zhang Dafa called me to his house for a drink. This was his habit when he had something important to discuss. He would first open a pot of sweet potato liquor. How many years have you been at Jinfeng Ridge? 8 years. You've been running the entire clinic alone for 8 years. Who in the village doesn't come to you for every headache or fever? Last year, when Sister Lu had a difficult delivery, if it weren't for your decisive actions, neither mother nor child would have survived. It's my duty. Don't tell me it's my duty. He took a gulp of wine and rubbed his hands together. Here's the thing, this year, there's a recommendation spot for workers, peasants, and soldiers' university in the provincial capital in the medical field. The village held a meeting and unanimously recommended you. I put down my chopsticks. In my previous life, I was in saline alkali land, barely able to eat enough food. The 2 words, university, were farther from me than the moon. When are we going? Report next month, 3-year program, job assignment after graduation. Of course, if you want to come back, you're always welcome here. I looked at him. I'll come back. Really? I promise Dr. Wu, Jinfeng Ridge will rely on me from now on. I won't go back on my word. Zhang Dafa's wine cup paused at his lips. He stared at me for several seconds, then tilted his head back and downed the wine in one gulp. All right, just one word. But when he turned his face away, I saw him wipe the corner of his eye with his sleeve. Provincial Medical College, 3 years. These were the most stable and happiest 3 years of my 2 lifetimes combined. No scolding, no tears, no favoritism, no one needed me to sacrifice or accommodate. All I had to do was study, studying desperately. Anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, internal medicine, surgery, basic theories of traditional Chinese medicine, attending classes during the day, doing internships in the afternoon, and spending evenings in the library. On weekends, going to the affiliated hospital to accompany senior professors on ward rounds. Ranked first for 6 consecutive semesters. At graduation, the department head called me in for a talk. Comrade Lin Wantong, the provincial people's hospital in the city is willing to take you on, you know, the terms, permanent position, dormitory allocation, 100 times better than your little mountain village. Think it over. I thought about it all night, then refused. Thank you, Professor, I want to return to Jinfeng Ridge. The department head said, Child, why must you be so stubborn? I smiled, I promised someone. In 1979, I returned to Jinfeng Ridge. At the village entrance, I saw a person, Zhao Yao. She stood at the gate of the educated youth dormitory yard, holding a letter in her hand, waving it vigorously toward me. The college entrance exams are back. Her face was tanned dark by the sun, but when she smiled, her whole face lit up. I want to go to university, you told me to pick up what I'd left behind, and I really did. Look, she dragged out a wooden box from the house and opened it. Inside were neatly stacked high school textbooks, study materials, and workbooks, some bought by scrimping and saving, others borrowed or copied from others. She had been collecting them for years. You told me to study, so I did, though I didn't understand why. The things you asked me to do were never wrong. My nose tingled with emotion. Okay, I'll help you. From that day on, after finishing work during the day, I would tutor her in the evenings, math, Chinese, politics, and general knowledge, starting from middle school level, building up step by step. Her foundation was weak, making it difficult for her to learn. In the first year, she failed the exam. She cried all night. The next day, she wiped away her tears and continued studying. The following year, she failed again. She didn't cry, but she had lost a lot of weight, and her eye sockets had sunk in. Do you think I really can't make it? You're good, but it's happened twice. Twice? What's twice? Some people waited 10 years for the college entrance exam to be reinstated and never even got a chance to take it. You've already done incredibly well. I flipped open her last exam paper and began analyzing each wrong answer one by one. Look, this is carelessness. Here, the concept wasn't firmly grasped. And this part shows a lack of careful reading. None of these are ability issues, it's just a matter of not being practiced enough. Keep at it for another 6 months, and you'll be solid. The third year, on the afternoon, the admission letter arrived. The postman rode his bicycle into the village. Zhao Yao, Comrade Zhao Yao, come quick and get your letter. Zhao Yao ran out of the vegetable garden, her feet covered in mud, grabbed the envelope, opened it, glanced at it, then she stood in the vegetable garden and burst into tears. I got in, Provincial City Medical College, same as yours. She chose the same path as me. Why choose medicine? Because of you, you showed me what it means for a woman to live by her own abilities. I want to become that kind of person too. After Zhao Yao went to the provincial city to study, I continued to stay at the Jinfeng Ridge Health Clinic. I took on 2 apprentices. One was a village girl named Xilan, and the other was a young wife from a neighboring village named Susie. I started teaching them to read and write, to identify medicinal herbs, learn acupuncture, and memorize formulas for herbal decoctions step by step, little by little, and I watched as the 2 of them progressed from being completely illiterate to being able to independently diagnose and prescribe treatments. Zhang Dafa said, if you leave, what will happen to this clinic? Don't worry, village chief, with Xilan and Susie here, they're even more careful than I am. After graduating, Zhao Yao gave up the opportunity to stay at a major hospital in the provincial capital and applied to be assigned to the county health center closest to Jinfeng Ridge. As soon as she arrived in the county town, she came to find me. Wantong, won't you come with me to the county town? The county health center is 100 times better than this little hut of yours. I've gotten used to it here. Can't you think about yourself for once? I've thought it through clearly. That winter, I used the savings I'd accumulated over the years to acquire a piece of residential land in Jinfeng Ridge, 2 brick houses with a small courtyard. At the base of the wall, facing the sun in the courtyard, a pomegranate tree is planted. Old Wu once said, "Plant a pomegranate in the yard, and life will be as red as fire." The house is not large, but clean and bright. You can grow flowers on the windowsill, you can bask in the sun in front of the door. Looking up, you can see the bamboo-covered mountains and the distant terraced fields. This is the first time in 2 lifetimes, the first home that truly belonged to me. In 1981, in my previous life, I died that winter, died in the storage room, lips turned blue, body cold, eyes wide open, waiting for someone who would never come. The winter of 1981 in this lifetime, I sat in my courtyard. The bare branches of the pomegranate tree still held a few withered leaves. In my hands was a cup of hot tea, and on my lap lay a newly published copy of Practical Internal Medicine. The sun shone warmly, and the cat curled up in a ball at my feet. 2 people arrived at the village entrance. I put down my teacup and stood up, then I saw them. A man and a woman. The woman had disheveled hair, her skin cracked and peeling, her cheekbones sharply protruding, her lips chapped and bleeding. She wore a cotton coat whose original color was unrecognizable, with the cuffs frayed and showing white threads, younger than 30, but looking like she was in her 40s. The man looked a bit better, but not much. His hair was long and uncut, hanging in a messy fringe over his forehead. The wool coat, once fitting well, hung loosely on his thin shoulders, empty and as if borrowed. Sister, Lin Wanjing. And also, Bo Changming. At this moment, in their previous lives, my sister should have been wearing a sky blue Dacron shirt, with permed shoulder-length hair, reading foreign novels at home. Bo Changming should have been wearing a neat military uniform, glasses on, drawing blueprints in the Design Institute. But now standing before me were 2 people crushed by fate. The moment my sister saw me, she completely lost control. She lunged forward, not to embrace, but to lunge, like a beast driven mad with desperation. Lin Wantong. Her nails dug into my arm, sharp, forceful, with a kind of hysterical frenzy. Dad is dead, Mom is dead, do you know that? I didn't dodge. In my previous life, I was locked in the storage room for 6 days. Even the stench of spoiled cold porridge and the astringent taste of rusty water were bearable. What's a little pain from nails digging into flesh? If only you had gone with them back then, if you had gone with them to the saline alkali land, I wouldn't have had to go. Her voice was as hoarse as torn cloth. My university won't be ruined, my life won't be destroyed, it's all because of you. You did it on purpose, you ran away early, you pushed me into the fire. It seemed Lin Wanjing also remembered her past life. Bo Changming grabbed her from behind. Wanjing, calm down, we came here to discuss something. What are you talking about? She owes me, she ruined my entire life. My sister struggled desperately, scratching several bloody marks on my arm with her nails. I stood motionless. When she finally screamed until her voice was hoarse, her strength drained, and she collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath, I just opened my mouth. Have you finished? She looked up and glared at me. He's already gone, why are you coming to me now? Bo Changming's lips moved slightly. Wantong, although your father, the organization has policies in place. You can apply for rehabilitation. After rehabilitation, there will be corresponding compensation and restoration of benefits. That has nothing to do with me. You're his daughter. Published in the newspaper, severing all ties, written in black and white. Both daughters are listed. Bo Changming's expression changed. 2, isn't it just one, Wanjing? 2, you can check. He froze. My sister froze too. I looked at them. If you want rehabilitation compensation, go to the organization. If you want your benefits restored, go to the organization. I'm just a barefoot doctor at a village clinic, no connections, no back doors, I can't help you with anything. But you're his biological, no longer. I turned around, close the gate when you leave. Lin Wantong, are you really this heartless? My sister's voice chased after me from behind. I didn't stop. They raised you for 13 years, have you no conscience at all? I stopped, didn't turn around. 13 years. The voice was very soft. Sister, do you know what it feels like to spend 13 years on saline alkali land? Silence fell behind. Do you know what it's like when the water vat in a house at minus 35 degrees freezes solid, and you have to smash it open with a hammer just to get a drink? Do you understand what it means for a 14-year-old girl to shoulder the workload quota of 2 adults, collapsing from exhaustion, only to wake up and keep working? Do you know how desperate I was when I sent you 15 distress letters and received not a single reply? The wind swelled through the yard, making the dry branches of the pomegranate tree creak and groan. You received them all. I finally turned around, looking at her. 15 letters, not a single one missing. You hid them under the box and told your second aunt, don't talk to me about things over there, it'll affect my studies. My sister's face turned pale. How do you know? Whether I know or not doesn't matter. I looked into her eyes. What matters is. I turned around again and walked into the house. The courtyard gate was closed, the door shut. 6 months later, Bo Changming came alone. He was thinner than last time. Standing at the entrance of my courtyard, he seemed to want to speak but held back. Wanjing is gone. The medicine mortar in my hand paused for a second, then I continued grinding. Last month, in the old house at the Northwest Farm, she hadn't been well mentally. In the final days, she wouldn't eat or drink. When I found her, I put the ground medicine powder into paper packets, sealed them, and placed them on the shelf. I understand. Is there nothing else you want to say? Did she suffer before she passed away? He fell silent for a moment. Well then, I thought about it. I'm sorry. It was the truth. Hate is gone now. It consumes energy, and my energy is reserved only for people and things worth it. But regret remains. In the past life, she had received my letter, even just to help deliver a few fever-reducing pills. If she hadn't intercepted the letter Bo Changming wrote to me, if she hadn't whispered those words in my ear at the wedding banquet, many things might have turned out differently. But there are no ifs anymore. This life, or the last life, there are no more ifs. Bo Changming stood at the courtyard gate for a long time. You're not married yet, are you? I looked up and glanced at him. There was something in his gaze that only someone with no way out would have, earnest, humble, and with a hint of unwillingness. I have nothing left now, but I still have my hands. I can start over. Changming, you don't like me, you only think of me when you're at your wit's end. His face turned pale. The last time you came, you stood by my sister's side and spoke for her. Now that she's gone, you come to me. You did. I stood up and patted the powder off my hands. You can go now, live well in the days to come. I walked toward the courtyard, took a few steps, and stopped. No turning back. One must keep moving forward, don't look back. The wind blows from the other side of the mountain, carrying the fresh scent of bamboo leaves. Because the path back no longer exists. Spring of 1983, Zhao Yao came to visit me from the county town. The pomegranate tree in the yard was in full bloom, its fiery red flowers dazzling against the blue sky and white clouds, almost too beautiful to be real. She sat on a bamboo chair beneath the pomegranate tree, holding a cup of wild chrysanthemum tea I had brewed myself, basking in the sunlight with her eyes half closed. If you hadn't signed up to go to the countryside back then, what do you think your life would be like now? I squatted in the vegetable patch, pulling weeds, and thought for a moment, probably wouldn't be alive anymore. What did you say? Nothing. I stood up, shook the dirt off the uprooted grass, and tossed it into the basket. Walking over to the pomegranate tree, I plucked a freshly bloomed pomegranate flower from its branch and tucked it behind her ear. Pretty, go to hell. She laughed and gave me a push, then plucked the flower and held it in her hand, fiddling with it for a long time before reluctantly letting it go. In the distant terraced fields, the young rice shoots were lush green, like a layer of emerald spread across the land. The bamboo on the mountain swayed in the wind, its rustling sound like someone whispering secrets. The stream flowed past the village entrance, crystal clear, revealing the smooth pebbles at its bottom. Several children were catching loaches by the stream, their trouser legs rolled up high, their laughter echoing far and wide. I leaned against the pomegranate tree trunk and closed my eyes. Sunlight fell on my eyelids, warm and gentle, like a tender hand. This lifetime, no saline alkali land, no storage room, no cold porridge, cold water, or hard steamed buns. No darkened lips or knocks at the door that never come. There are pomegranate flowers, wild chrysanthemum, the sound of a stream, and children's laughter, and a good friend, a courtyard full of sunlight, and a life that is completely one's own. This lifetime, no regrets.